Marks nearly a decade since a deadly crash, but she still feels the impact. News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin is live in Cleveland with her story. And Michael, this is a woman who dealt with calls like this for her daily job.
Correct, Anita. She was a 911 dispatcher, but that night the call was about her and her family and about a drunk driver that was going the wrong way.
Just getting off work.
Just crossed over the high-level bridge.
We were on our way home.
A car going the wrong direction.
I actually had plans at night.
I looked at him, I looked in there, and he smashed really badly into the car behind me.
To go Christmas shopping with my mom.
I just saw a horrible accident on Route 2.
My husband and my daughter came to pick me up from work, but we never made it back home. So I just found out I was pregnant 2 days before. He was a gentle giant, as his mom calls him. I felt bad for his family. I can think of being 19 and making mistakes. I was unconscious probably for about a month. I suffered an aneurysm in my heart. You know, I kept asking for my husband. I kept trying to call him on the phone, but he wouldn't answer. And if you're gonna drink and party, get somebody to drive you, but don't get behind the wheel.
Crystal says she still suffers from injuries from that night. She's gotten her associate's degree, and right now she's working on her bachelor's. She says her husband would be very proud. We're live on your side in Cleveland. I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
In a few short days, a Cleveland man is scheduled to be executed for murdering his neighbor. The murder happened 25 years ago while Marianne Pope was babysitting. But there are some who now argue that the convicted killer should be shown mercy because the laws are different now than they were then. News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin explains.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
That's how many times Billy Slagle stabbed Marianne Pope, killing her back in 1987. He was sentenced to death for that crime. He's scheduled to be executed this Wednesday, August 7th. But what might surprise you is who wants to turn his death sentence into a life sentence. That would be Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Tim McGinty, who recommended to the Ohio Parole Board last month that Slagle's sentence be commuted. McGinty feels Ohio law has changed over time, and if his office was prosecuting the case now, they might not have had enough to seek a death sentence. In a news release, he said, quote, "While in no way do these factors excuse the crime, they would likely have led a jury to recommend life without the possibility of parole."
I feel like we came to the right conclusion.
This woman, who asked us not to use her name, was on the jury that convicted Slagle.
I mean, I feel bad about it. It's a life. But he took a life. And it was deliberate. I mean, he tried to hide. He took his shoes off to tiptoe around so he wouldn't get caught. I mean, for goodness sakes, he stabbed her 17 times. He didn't just do it once or twice. I really feel like this is what needs to happen.
Ohio Governor John Kasich agreed with the parole board not to change his sentence, but he did not offer any comment. On your side, I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
High school football kicks off in 2 weeks, but tonight one local high school hit the field. News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin here now to show us why you may be a bit surprised to who suited up.
Well, Chris, this event took place at Hudson High School and involved the football team, but on this day, it was the players' moms that said, "Hut, hut, hike."
You know, it's actually moving pieces and parts.
It's safe to say you don't see this play called every day.
And this is where the defensive guys hang.
Moms learning from their kids' high school football coach, the X's and O's of the game. Coach Ron Wright led the discussion, and the goal was to help parents understand what their child is doing on the football field.
Okay, I need a tackle. Who's the tackle? I need a mom of a tackle.
After the chalkboard session, then it was time to play. The moms put on the jerseys of their sons, and it was time to run a few plays from what they learned.
Offense is over here.
Besides learning where to stand, the ladies also learned a new language.
Who's a swag?
Before he sat down with us, moms were saying, I said, oh, I think we're going to throw a little screen pass. And they're like, oh gosh, I don't even know what a screen pass is.
How does it feel to be on the field that your son plays on and you're wearing his jersey?
Awesome, scary, more complicated than I realized.
These moms are serious about their football. That's me, running and getting out of the way. And they ended practice like a real team.
We are! Oh, I got to do better than that. We are!
All right, the moms that I spoke with say they hope that this is the beginning of a long tradition. Live and on your side, I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
Wow,
Great
I think
story.
that is great. That is great for the moms.
How about all those moms looking
Yes.
awesome out there? Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Baldwin. Tracy is off. A series of pileups and accidents along a certain stretch of I-90 East in Lake County has drivers worried, especially as they get ready to drive home from the long holiday weekend. More patrols are monitoring that area tonight. How people drive is part of the problem. And as News Channel 5 Stephanie Ramirez learned today, there's another problem that isn't helping. The Cavs have canceled Andrew Bynum Fathead giveaway tomorrow night. Why? In case you haven't heard, he's pretty much done playing for the Wine and Gold. The Cavs GM said Bynum was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. The center has been excused from all team activities indefinitely. Bynum did not travel with the team to Boston last night for their game against the Celtics today, which they lost. It's not known if the Cavs will release him. Sports director Andy Baskin will have more coming up in sports.
On your radar, even if you are an avid fan. So what do people think about this guy and the Browns' chances in the future? News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin traveled all around town today asking that very question. And Michael, curious, what are fans saying tonight?
Well, Chris, fans seem to have the same reaction I had last night when I first heard the news. I said, who? Well, who's that? If you're looking for a new RV for the game, you might want to check out the RV show at the IX Center. They've got brands like Sierra, Flight, or Spree. Brands you probably never heard of. Kind of like our new coach. What's his name again?
Jitkowski or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's Polish. I know it's Polish.
How do you pronounce it for real?
Jitkowski.
See, it's like buying an RV for the first time. You may not know the brands, but you trust the folks here know what they're doing.
The manufacturers that they have here are top drawer. They come from all over the country. And, you know, you can imagine the largest indoor RV show, the kind of power that draws.
Kind of like the power the Cleveland Browns draw. You have to figure their brand and new coach under new owners will work, even if some folks here at the West Side Market are still getting acquainted with his name.
Trzynski? Trzynski, he knows the name.
Kathy and Dale Fassett came by the market to pick up some fruit. They know how good fruit tastes. They're hoping the new coach isn't a bad apple.
That's what I said when they said they got him. Where'd he come from? He hadn't been on the list at all. And all of a sudden they break in the news.
I know that he's been like a Cleveland fan ever since like he was a little kid though, so I know he likes Cleveland
before.
Yeah.
And now he's back.
As long as we can just make it to the playoffs. Playoffs would be well.
Hopefully in the end, we will be as comfortable with our new coach as we would be in a nice new RV, since we are both likely to be there on Sundays. All right, there is the beautiful Brown Stadium. We will have to wait until next summer to be able to root on our new coach. By the way, his name is Trzynski. On your side, I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
Michael.
shooting last November that left 2 people dead. Dozens of community organizations are meeting right now to talk about the investigative report and calls for a new special prosecutor. News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin broke this part of the story and has some new details tonight about what some of those involved that night told investigators.
Yeah, Lee, in fact, they called this officer back for a second interview, and it's what he said, or rather what he sent in a text, that raises some new questions. Which officers are telling the truth and which ones may be lying?
We've seen the video. 62 police cars chasing down Melissa Williams and Timothy Russell. The 2 later died in East Cleveland after officers fired 137 shots. Police Chief Michael McGrath has said 115 officers in total participated in some way that night. Now that all comes into question. In the documents Attorney General Mike DeWine released on Tuesday, an officer's text messages were recovered. The officer sent a text message saying, quote, "Some people have lied to protect themselves and it's gonna come out." That could mean there were more than 115 officers involved that night. Cleveland City Councilman Zach Reed, who feels this information should not have been released by the Attorney General until a grand jury was seated, says this is exactly the reason why.
It's disturbing if any of these police officers did lie, but a lie always catches up with you. So at the end of the day, the police chief and the task force that he's put together are going to drill down and we're going to find the truth.
As for the cop who stood on the top of the hood of Russell's car and fired a total of 49 shots, the officer said, quote, "Deadly force is deadly force. If you use 1 or you use 50, you shoot to kill somebody." I was like, wow, to reload twice was, it's adding up. The officer said after some Monday morning quarterbacking, he realized the car police were chasing backfired. He wanted to bring this information to his supervisors, but was shut down by Union head Jeff Fulmer, being told, quote, "to keep my mouth shut and just to speak to investigators."
So I'm happy that the police officer is clearly saying, hey, I'm conflicted, I'm going to tell exactly what happened, and I'm going to let the chips fall when they may.
Now, we reached out to Union head Jeff Fulmer for comment, but our calls were not returned. We're live on your side. I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
We just heard from the Cleveland Police Department about the charges being filed against Ariel Castro, but no charges filed at this time against the other 2 brothers, Pedro and O'Neill Castro.
That's right. We have 4 counts of kidnapping against Ariel Castro and 3 counts of rape. We were joined a short time ago by News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin, who had some exclusive information from a source that you've been talking to about what was going on inside the home with the girls. And I have to just warn you, it is very, very disturbing.
Well, when you're speaking of the no charges against the other 2 brothers, I can tell you that when the women spoke to police, one thing they did not mention was the other 2 brothers. They focused specifically on Ariel Castro. So just to kind of recap what we've been telling you. First of all, after Amanda got out of the home, out of the house, and she was able to call 911, and then the police arrived, and she informed them that there were other women inside of the house. And that's when police decided to go in there. They went in there, they checked the basement first, they didn't find anybody. And then they went up to the 2nd floor. As they were doing that, we were told that Michelle Knight is the one that came out, and she ran into an officer's arms and embraced him and hugged him, and really didn't want to let go. She told the officer that she couldn't breathe and that her chest hurt. Now, as far as how the women were abducted, each of them have a different story, but they're very similar stories. Michelle told police that Ariel offered her a ride home. She said she was walking on West 106th Street and Lorraine, and then he ended up taking her to his house, and we all know what happened after that. Amanda said, as you know, Amanda was coming home from work, was working at the Burger King. Amanda said Ariel offered her a ride home and told her that his son worked at Burger King as well. Now, Gina tells a story where Ariel approached her as she was on West 105th Street and Lorraine. He apparently approached her with his daughter, and Gina said that she went to school with his daughter. They left, and then Ariel came back, and when he came back without his daughter, according to Gina, and she said he offered her a ride to his house so that she could meet up with his daughter. Now, all 3 women said that they were chained in the basement, but eventually they were let free and they were allowed to live upstairs, on the second floor. Now, Michelle told police that she was pregnant at least 5 times. And she said the child was Ariel's, but he wanted to abort the baby. And Michelle told police that Ariel punched her in the stomach until she miscarried.